Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to Midpoint, where hopefully I can spend the next few minutes saying some things that might help you out through something you may be going through. Just a word of encouragement to get you through the rest of the week. Maybe you know somebody going through something and they need a word of encouragement. You can share this. We come on here each week, and that's our whole purpose, is to just share some encouragement and help people get through things that might be bothering them in the middle of the week. It's the midpoint. Got a couple more days until Friday, and the weekend. Hopefully, everybody has some good plans. I want to talk to you a little bit today about the word worth. Is what I was meditating on and thinking about and praying about, and it just took me so far back to nowadays there's with social media and TV shows and stuff like that, there's so many ways to find out about different products, different places, the cost of things. I may be aging myself a little bit here, but back in the day, about the only thing you could really watch on antenna TV was you could catch Antique Roadshow. That was a pretty cool show because you could watch people bring in things that they thought were valuable, and they get it appraised, and they find out that, man, it's worth way more than they thought, or they found out that these things just they held on to them for years and years and years, and if there's any value, it's just sentimental value, that there was no worth to it. So watching that when I was younger, that would lead to early mornings of getting the Saturday paper. How many of you have ever done this? And back then they would have all the yard sales listed in the paper because, well, I think for one, nobody was scared to list them in the paper, because back then you didn't have to have a permit to have a yard sale. But nowadays it's not as easy to find them unless you're riding around looking for the signs, I guess. But back then, watching that Antiques Roadshow, it would make me look a little harder sometimes at yard sales to see if somebody was selling something pretty cheap that they didn't know what it was worth, or and back then it was a lot easier. There wasn't Google and eBay and to where you could grab an item and see what it was worth so quickly. Nowadays it's pretty simple to get 100 wrong answers and maybe one or two correct ones with the internet and all the different hobby type pages on, say, social media. So the social media ones is where I was kind of looking around, and I got to looking back at, or thinking back on, toys that I had as a kid. Now I was born in 1972, so in 53, going on 54 years old. I remember Tonka trucks, and of course what you see here in front of me is some Hot Wheels. But one toy I was kind of looking for was a little truck or a car, depending on what you bought. They were ran off of a 1 AA battery. And it was called a Stomper. And you could get the cheaper version, was called a Rough Rider. And man, I remember taking trips from Zellwood, Florida to Altamont Springs on a Friday night with my allowance money. And we even had a rear end collision on the way to the Kmart at 434 and 436. If you're from the Popka, Altamont area, you know where I'm talking about, the old Kmart there. We were headed there to buy me a Stomper, and we ran into the rear end of a car before we went to the hospital. My dad went ahead and made the trip to Kmart so that I could get the Stomper. We weren't seriously injured, but they did suggest that we go and get looked at. So I started looking on social media, mainly Facebook, and looking up Stompers. Well, I found a page for them, and my ever-loving, Pastor says that a lot, that's probably where I got it, but my ever-loving, these toys that I probably paid $5 or $6 for back in the late 70s, early 80s, if they're in running, working order, and this is maybe 2 times the size of one of these Hot Wheels right here, not much longer than a AA battery. Certain ones are going for anywhere from $200 to $300. And like I said, some of them say that they haven't even been tested, so that you don't know if they run or not. I've got a couple of little Hot Wheels out here. So when you start looking up things on social media, all you have to do is say one word and more stuff's going to pop up. So all these Hot Wheels die-cast car pages started popping up. This one here, this is a little sheriff's car, little Hot Wheels sheriff's car from 1982. So 43 years old right now. And on eBay, people have them going for about $20. Right now, you can still get brand new Hot Wheels for under $1 some of the time. This one is from 1977. I haven't found a worth on it yet. This one I don't even know. It's not a Hot Wheels, a Matchbox, or anything, but it's a very, very nice little die-cast car with movable parts. And so I started looking more and more into what some of these things are worth. Not that I want to try to get rich and sell them. I just like to know. And so I started thinking of all the different things I had as a kid and what would have been worth so much now. When you're looking at whether it's a Hot Wheels or a Matchbox, or whether it's a like I said, the Stompers, or recently we had a bunch of dolls that Vicky's mom had, and there was like original Cabbage Patch Kids and stuff in there. People will pay a lot of money, but the biggest question, or the biggest answer, the most answer I see when people say, hey, what's this worth? The answer is whatever somebody will pay for it. So I started thinking of the things I threw away when I was a kid, things like the Stomper toys. If they quit working, I probably did what their name was. I probably stomped on them 2 or 3 times. They were plastic. I just broke them apart. They weren't working anymore. It was time to get a new toy. Man, looking at the prices of them right now online, I wish I would have kept them, right? But here's where I want to be encouragement to you today. All these things that were bought for me as a kid. Yeah, if I would have never opened them, never played with them, never destroyed them, never seen what a firecracker would do to a Hot Wheels car, if I would have never done those things, I wouldn't have experienced it, for one. But I was thinking of all the things that I maybe had destroyed that I could never get back. And this is what I felt like God showed me. All those young years when I was playing with those toys and destroying them, at that time, I was at every Sunday school class that was available. I was at every Wednesday night youth service that was available, every Friday night youth service available. The men's prayer on Saturday night, we were there. And so seeds were being planted. And as I sat and was thinking about my time as a kid and all the valuable things that I let go away and I can't get back, I even walked away from God for a while as a teenager and a young adult. But everything I learned back then, that's the most valuable, because it was still there available. God was still there with open arms when I decided that it was time to turn my life around. And it was time to get back to what I had learned as a kid. So if you want to ask me right now, what was the most valuable thing? What was the most worthy thing in my life as a kid? It wouldn't be toys. Not as a grown man answering this. It would be the upbringing, the raising, the going to church and somebody taking the time, whether it was my parent or a teacher. So the encouragement for tonight is, if you're planting seeds, if you're doing God's work, but you're not seeing the harvest maybe, Know that the seeds are planted, and it may take watering for a little bit of time. But eventually, that person's going to see the worth in what you're teaching them. Because we can't take none of this with us. None of this is going to buy me fortunes and allow me to retire at an early age. I destroyed all those toys as a young kid, believe me. But even when I thought I got farther away from God than he would ever want me or even ever take me back, when what I had learned as a kid in a Sunday school class, when it caught up to me as an adult, and it was still deep in me, in my heart, and I knew it was right, that was the most worthy thing that I got growing up. So no matter what it is and who it is that you're spreading the gospel to, know that that seed will be watered and it will come to fruition. God's will be done, and you will be amazed when you finish the job well done and you get to heaven and you see all the ones that you affected. Even though you thought there's no hope, they didn't even listen to me. They never paid attention. I'm telling you right now, at 53 years old, I know what was the most valuable thing growing up in my life. The Lord Jesus Christ and what I learned about him and what he'll do for me. I hope this has been encouraging for you today. Like I said, if you liked what you heard and you're not scared of any of your friends hearing it, hit that share button and get it out there. And let's just see how many people we can bless. Amen. I pray that you have a blessed week and that all your troubles go away and that the Lord's right there beside you each and every day. And he shows himself strong and his light shines through in all those around you. Join us next week, 8 p.m. here on Midpoint. Have a blessed week.